Well, can you take my load or not?
No, I can't run for those rates anymore. Have you seen the price of diesel? I'm running at a loss. It looks like every carrier out there is having this conversation with their customers. Whether it's a freight broker or a manufacturing plant, I feel like I'm having the same conversation every day. And these conversations are about justifying why the freight rates are increasing. I'm not just having these conversations with manufacturing plants, I'm also having these conversations with freight brokers that we use on a regular basis. So the main focal point of the conversation is why are freight rates increasing, or I need to justify why we're charging more right now for the same service that we used to provide 6 months ago for literally almost half the price. So here it goes. This is the reason why freight rates are increasing, and you can use this when you need to justify to a customer on why freight rates are increasing. So number one, we need to understand that demand for trucks is starting to pick up over the last 3 months, okay? And specifically in the last 20 days, it's gotten even worse. So a lot of people are requesting to move their freight. Now, we also need to understand what in the world has happened over the last 2 years. So over the last 2 years, trucking companies have been decimated. Okay, a lot of closures has happened. Lots of trucking companies, both larger and smaller. Now in the news, only the large trucking companies that close down make it. But there are hundreds of trucking companies with 5 power units, 10 power units, 12 power units, 20 power units that have shut down over the last 2 years, and it didn't make the news. We need to understand that availability has decreased over the last 2 years. Even us as ET Transport, even my neighbors that I know, we went as a company from 115 power units to about 80 power units. That's close to 30%. We've decreased our assets because the market was brutal. We couldn't survive. Freight rates were so low. Expenses were through the roof, and the only thing that we could do to stay alive is cut our assets and our trucks. So the available trucks out there has decreased as a whole. So that's point number 2. Now let's bring up the diesel prices. So this is a direct correlation to run a mile. Now, I have to explain this to manufacturing plants, and I also, have a chart that I always reference. Now, you need to understand that there's a huge difference when the national average is $3.30 or $3.50 per gallon versus right now where the national average, let me just get the exact national average, as of today is $5.07 per gallon. That's the average. So there's also places that there's $6 a gallon. There's some places that are $7 per gallon. In Canada, I did a video, we're paying over $8 per gallon right now with the national diesel prices. Do you understand what that does to run a mile? Well, I'll explain it to you. Most trucks out there are running at about 6.5 miles per gallon. Now, at 6.5 miles per gallon, when the national average is $3.75 per gallon, it used to cost us 58 cents to run a mile. Now, with the national average being $5.25 per gallon, it cost us today 81 cents US to run 1 mile. So let's just quickly do the math so you understand how much this is affecting the cost of freight rates. We are talking about a 23-cent difference for every single mile that a truck is running. It's costing more. Now, if there's a load going from Toronto to California, that is 2650 miles, and then you multiply that by 0.23, that's on one run. That's $600 difference on one load going from Toronto to California. Now, imagine going from Toronto to Atlanta, Georgia, or Toronto to Florida. That's about $400 difference on a one-way trip. So when a manufacturing plant gets an increase from $4,000 to $4,700, they think, what in the world is happening? Why are the freight rates so high? Well, that $700 just went in extra fuel prices. Now, we're not talking about the extra insurance that we're paying. We're not talking about the $1,000,001 expenses that we fleets have to cover. We're not talking about the interest that went through the roof. We're just talking about the increase in diesel fuel prices. So, a lot of manufacturing plants or the freight brokers are asking, okay, well, what can we expect? Well, realistically out there, you can expect right now the difference between today and the difference between 2 months ago, the freight rates to be increased by 20 to 25% on your load. So if you were doing loads going to Ohio, paying $900, well, today the rate is probably closer to about 1,050. Okay, between 20 to 25% increase in your rates. Now, how long is this going to last for? So the question that I have all the time, both from the brokers and from my customers, they say, well, okay, listen, we can justify, we understand what the problem is, we will increase it. But Ronen, do you know how long this is going to last for? And I tell them, listen, to tell you the truth, I have no idea what's going to happen in the next month or two. What I do know is that fuel and the cost of fuel has significantly increased. I think everybody knows what's happening around the world right now, but the fuel is significantly at a high. It might even get worse before it gets any better. So I don't think that the situation is going away, at least for the next month. Now, if you are a manufacturing plant out there and you're having a hard time covering loads, you need to understand one thing. What do carriers want? Carriers want stability. Carriers want to work with manufacturing plants that have dedicated loads, dedicated runs. That is the jackpot for any carrier out there, any owner-operator out there. But if you are a manufacturing plant that's having a hard time covering your loads, please reach out to me, okay? Not only do we have our own fleet, but we also have hundreds of carriers that are parking in our lots across Canada, which means that we have access to these assets, whether it's vans, reefers, or flatbeds. We do have private Telegram groups with these carriers that can assist with your loads because of the relationship that we have with them. Plus, we also have our own assets. So hopefully this helps you out there. Hopefully this helps you explain to the manufacturing plants or your customers and to justify the increase in freight rates. Okay, hopefully you learned something from this video. The more people share this video, the more awareness we are creating. So please guys, the least that you can do from this video is give it a thumbs up to help the algorithm push this video out there. The more people like, the more people comment, the more people are gonna understand what is happening and to justify our increased prices in freight rates. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. I'm Ronen and I'll catch you in my next one.